So DeAnne, this isn't the first time that you've ever been on WatchMojo.
Hi, I'm John Hastings and welcome to WatchMojo.com. We're sitting down to a game of Clue with last comic standings, DeAnne Smith.
Yes.
No, it's not the first time I'm on WatchMojo.
But we've never actually talked about one of your other abilities. Do you know what I'm referring to?
No.
Your musical talent?
A musical talent. I do play the ukulele a little bit, and I am playing the ukulele in the show that I'm doing now. I wouldn't say that I have musical talent. I would say that I have learned 4 chords, and I have figured out how to arrange them in such a way that it looks as though I have musical talent. Here's a little story about an Australian cafe. I ordered a glass of water, but instead of just saying okay, the waiter said, "No worries, ma'am," which I guess was polite. But to my North American ears, it just didn't sound quite right. I mean, it's just a glass of water. I'm not worried about it. I'm not worried about it at all.
Now, are you still spending half the time in Australia and half the time here in Canada?
Pretty much, yeah, that's what's been going on.
Do you know some similarities between the audiences?
No, I think they're totally the same, pretty much the same. I mean, Canada and Australia have similar sized populations. They're both not the US, and they both kind of define themselves by not being the US. And they drink a lot. I don't know, I think there's a lot in common. People are happy, people like to have fun everywhere, I think.
You have a full hour show with new material. Can you tell us a little bit about it?
I have a new show called About Freakin' Time, which is very loosely based on the theme of time.
I should probably explain what I mean by time before we begin. The present is the most real perception of time, but almost all that we perceive as the present is already past. The past is, of course, nothing more than an illusion created by our memories, which we use as a pattern to fabricate our mental construct of the future. It's possible that time, as perceived by our primitive minds struggling to make sense of the continually changing world around us, may not even exist at the most fundamental level of physical reality. You guys ready to have a good time?
If someone wants to compliment you, what's the best thing that they can do or say during or after the show?
During 6.5 minutes of bonus hilarity, people can shout out anything. I once had a 76-year-old woman called Bernadette. She just shouted out, "I'm enjoying the show!" And I was like, "Thank you, Bernadette." And that's good. That feels like a lot of validation. I like when middle-aged to older ladies, like last night this happened, I was leaving and a woman patted me on the arm and she just said, "It's really good, keep it up." And I was like, "Thanks, Mom." That's how that felt to me, and I like that.
Do you have any advice for all of us as we're heading into the future? Because we all are.
Advice as we head into the future. Just hang on. It'll probably be okay, probably.
What if, despite the fact that I'm a moderately successful comedian and I have a lot of friends and I'm in a healthy relationship, what if I never overcome the psychological damage I experienced in childhood? Not that I'm blaming my parents. I mean, they come from their own dysfunctional backgrounds and they just did the gosh darn best they could with the crappy hand that life dealt to them, okay? But what if I always stay afraid and I label myself and my feelings as somehow wrong, while assuming that everyone else in the world is somehow right? So that even though my heart yearns for something deeper, my connections with other people ultimately feel kind of superficial because I isolate myself emotionally.
Well, thank you so much. It's so great to have you on again.
Thanks for having me, WatchMojo.com.